공지사항 알려드립니다. 2021 여름 SAT 프로그램을 성황리에 마치고 새로운 2021 가을 SAT 프로그램이 다가오는 10월 9일부터 시작합니다. 이 프로그램은 12월 4일 SAT 시험을 목표로 둔 학생들을 위한 프로그램이라는 점 미리 알려드립니다. 학생들의 스케줄을 최대한 고려하여 수업은 매주 토요일, 일요일로 진행되며 매주 수요일에는 수업 이외로 학생들이 자유롭게 질문할 수 있는 수학, 영어 각각 2시간의 오피스 아워가 제공됩니다. 자세한 스케줄은 웹사이트 snap-sat.com을 통해 확인하실 수 있습니다. 혹여 봉사활동이나 특별활동 혹은 다른 개인적인 사정으로 인해 수업에 불참하게 되더라도 매번 수업의 녹화본이 메이크업 링크로 학생들에게 제공되기 때문에 학생 본인이 편리한 시간에 놓친 수업을 들을 수 있습니다. 해서 시간대가 맞지 않아 수업을 듣지 못하거나 혹은 주말에 타이트하게 수업을 하는 것이 부담이 되는 학생들 역시 본인의 페이스에 맞게 수업에 참여할 수 있습니다. 6주 혹은 8주 프로그램을 등록하실 수 있으며 6주와 8주의 유일한 차이점은 2주분의 수업을 더 듣느냐 마느냐의 차이일 뿐 수업 내용 등은 전체적으로 동일하다는 점 알려드립니다. 수학 부분은 제가 직접 수업을 진행하고 영어 부분은 저희 강사진 중 한 명인 레이 킴 선생님께서 도맡아 수업을 진행해 주십니다. 레이 선생님에 대한 간략한 소개 및 두 강사들의 샘플 강의 영상 링크들을 아래 설명란에 달아드릴 것이니 등록을 하시기 전에 꼭 자녀분과 함께 시청해 보시기 바랍니다. 학부모님들의 관심과 성원에 감사드리며 믿고 맡겨주시는 만큼 저와 레이 선생님 모두 차질 없이 준비할 수 있도록 최선을 다하겠습니다. 감사합니다.
Hello, my name is Chain. I am a current undergrad at Boston College. I am a junior studying applied psychology, theology with a studio arts minor. It is a liberal arts school, so I am very privileged to experience a lot of these like different academia. Yeah, I am currently involved in a lot of things. I have established a club at BC2 First Christian Dance Ministry, as well as I was also involved in KSA, Korean Student Association, as well as I'm a church leader and like missionary leader, like different things I'm involved with. And I also have mentees that I also take care of, underclassmen. And yeah, currently I am enjoying college life.
야,
Stephen
한숨 쉬어?
teacher.
한숨 쉬어?
Stephen teacher is someone that broadened my eyes to go to college. That is not restricted to California, and I'm very, very, very thankful for that, because I think everyone that grows up in Cali like thinks that like, oh, like UCs, but if you at least even visit the colleges here, you would know that they're like, first of all, the reason why I came far is like no more. Yeah, I wanted to experience more, but I think it really would like you would experience more if you step out of your comfort zone. And student teacher is someone that has allowed me to, take a step of faith technically just to experience that. And I wouldn't have any knowledge of like Boston or anything. So basically I didn't know any schools coming into Snap Education, but I applied to a lot, and honestly, like I learned about a lot. And I think one thing to definitely know is that like don't limit your things to ranking. I really don't think ranking matters, or anything of like what everyone else says, but like just see where you yourself could grow the most. And yeah. I think one thing for me as a person, I don't think I knew that much of different colleges. I honestly didn't know Boston College is a Jesuit education until I came here too. So I didn't really know that much, but I also wanted to keep all my options open. I think difference in Boston College to any other like big college university is that the faculty to student ratio is very small. There's definitely a lot of benefits in the smaller faculty to student ratio. And because of that, like I think I really engage a lot in learning. I go to office hours all the time. I personally go and like meet up with my professor just to talk about my future and like, like I literally go up, like it's like how casual it is that I just go like when I don't have anything, I'm like, ah, professor, like how are you doing? And we just talk. The other day I was like, professor, honestly, like I love education, but like I would like, like I honestly don't really care about grades, like these kind of thing. Doesn't mean I like don't try. I still do my best, but like I could that's that kind of like casuality in terms of communicating intimacy. Yeah, I guess like compared to like a lot of other schools, what something that I was expecting is very like individual lifestyle, like but this is like I think BC kind of exclusive kind of thing where basically in the Asian community at least, like everyone knows each other. It's called AC community. So it's like you're friends with literally everyone because we have a campus compared to like BU, Northeastern, or like a lot of campuses. Like it's like the whole street is like basically the school, right? So you like, like you don't really like you have friends definitely, but like you don't know everyone, because the school is so big and the student population is so big. But for BC, like you literally like wait at a bus stop and you'll know like every Asian, that kind of thing. And I think the pros to that is that like the upperclassmen like changes you, you know what I mean? They take care of you, and then it's so common. Like I do this too, but I just like go to freshmen like, hi, what's your name? Like, hey, like, do you want to grab a meal? Like, do you want to grab coffee? And like, like I spend a lot of money on them, but like, this kind of culture is kind of existent in DC. So I guess that's very different to what I expected. I think the same thing that I mentioned right now, there is pros and cons to that. It's basically like the pro is that like because everyone knows each other and everyone's like willing to take care of each other, like it's very comfortable. I think like you could be comfortable in like interacting with people, and like the underclassmen literally like 까불어 to the upperclassmen, and that's like normal,
뭐
because
너가
we're all
나한테
like
까부는
friendly.
거랑 비슷하네, 그치?
Never have I ever. But that's normal. But I think with the cons to that is there is this saying called BC bubble, and
Yeah, I
like
know what
it's
it is.
basically yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have a campus that is kind of far from like cities, and like different schools. So
Right.
I guess that's one bubble, but within the BC, like Boston College, there's also mini bubbles like AC culture, or like there's like the Black population, Latinx population, like white people, and like there's these like small bubbles, and I guess like stereotypically or like whatever, like it might be harder to break those unless you're like really outside. I definitely think so. So basically, to give a story of like one of my ministries that I started this year, so last year it was unofficial, and it was still like 50 people dance team, and basically because I started it and all my friends or most of my friends are like Asian that I'm like close to, and then like the Asian Christian population basically. But this year, because we are official, we're able to partner with like student involvement, so we got a spot at like student fair, and then because we were able to talk to different diverse population. One of the students, actually, it's like a Black sister that joined our dance team this year. She was like, oh, like I wasn't sure if I was like intruding into this like Asian dancing because it's still majority Asian, but I
Right.
was like, no, like you're so welcome. You're still welcome to like, mingle with us, and like, you not only like ethnicity, but like, there's different identities that you could bind with. And I guess a big common theme for Boston College at least is like religion. Japanese international students who claim to be atheists who are like, oh, like I'm not Christian, can I still join? I'm like, yeah, of course. And I think that's pretty common. I think something that we have to keep in mind is that like there is a lot of loneliness in college students as well if like education or community doesn't become personal. Like education itself doesn't become personal, it's more like a pattern, like I study for a midterm, next midterm, and like when you like talk to the professor aside from class, like this material that you're learning becomes more personal to you, and it therefore becomes meaningful, versus like, oh, like vocab, and I study it and then I forget it for the rest of my life.
그치.
It's different, it's very different. And I think definitely like education here becomes very personal. Basically, the reason why rankings don't matter is because rankings are not reliant on the student, but it's
음,
like based on the faculty and professors, right?
음,
But the reason why it doesn't matter further is because like the ranking depends on how much like research and how much more the professor does. And it's kind of like ironic because the more that the professor researches, the less time they have with the students,
음.
which means what the students get is less, personal, that kind of like education on themselves. Whereas if the student if the professor spends less time researching and spends more time on the students, what the students is getting is better, but then
Right.
what the ranking is saying is different. It really doesn't matter because I mean, one, there's a lot of students that like just come in like with the major in mind, but like people like switch back and forth. And I would say like more than looking at the rankings, like look at the school's like mission,
음,
mission
음,
statement
음.
and vision, and like how you could take away from that school. I think one thing I want to say is like words of reassurance is that like there's always a way, like you might be like anxious. I think like I'm not gonna say anything about try harder because they themselves know how to try hard and not.
음.
But out of reassurance, like don't be like afraid, like, oh, I won't get into any schools or like any of these anxieties because like you might be like time constraint, but like for example, what's the worst it's gonna get? Like you could take a gap year, like explore yourself and then like apply again, actually like in I think Germany and like different areas, like they recommend to take a gap year, these
음,
kind of thing. And like not I'm not saying like take a gap year, but like
음, 음,
what like I'm saying is there's always a way. Like if 4-year university right away is not your plan,
음,
you can always go to community and like transfer in. I would say yes.
음.
It is definitely hard. A lot of application with the sub
그치,
little,
그치. 쓸 건
I
많지.
did do a lot. Yeah. I guess like something that I am kind of guilty of is like I was blindly doing everything. So it's
음,
like, oh, okay, okay. But like the like going back to my point, like I would say like make each like school, even if it's a lot, like make it meaningful for you. You know what I
음,
mean?
음,
Like at the end of the day, like even if you go to Ivy, like if that whole process wasn't meaningful, then like why'd you go? That kind of thing.
그치.
So it's like make everything like meaningful for you. Just like take a look at like what the campus life is, like what kind of programs they have for you, and like based on your interests, like find like the support and the community in there, and like just see like imagine yourself in the campuses, I guess, and then
음.
it will be more like, oh, then I could see myself there. Like, even the smallest thing like weather, like some people hate the weather, you know what I mean? Try things out. I think that's very like important because
음,
I do remember and I still see some of my like church, like younger kids, like
음.
they're very like stressed over like SAT, like number,
그치.
GPA number. Like the culture is changing. And like honestly, like for people, some people like education is the way, some people education is not the way. And that's like a solid truth. Like even if you go to a university, if you're
음,
passionate about something else, like pursue that,
음,
find networks and find connections where they have more knowledge in that and
음.
connect with them, whether that be a professor, whether that be a peer, upperclassman, whatever, like connect with them and learn from them.
음. 인터뷰는 끝!